if you look at the Black Sea, you will see that there is a peninsula over here. Can you see it? It's called Crimea. Okay? Here it is. And if you control Crimea, you control the whole Black Sea. Look at it. And they did everything they could do for the last few hundred years to ensure that Orthodox Christianity, led by Russia, should never control Crimea. They used the Tatar to control Crimea, and the Tatar were slave raiders. They may listen to me and get annoyed with me, but the facts are there. The facts are there. They were slave raiders. And they loved to raid the Russians most of all. And then the Ottoman Empire took control of Crimea and used the Tatar as slave raiders. Yeah. And the Ottomans controlled Crimea for many years, a few hundred years, until Russia defeated them and Russia claimed the Crimean Peninsula. When Russia took control of the Crimean Peninsula, Britain and France and Europe could not take that. No. They did everything they could possibly do until finally they had to wage war on Russia to deny Russia Crimea. And that was the last great war that took place before the modern age of warfare with the First World War. What was it called? It was called the Crimean War. And it was fought from 1852 to 1854, 55. If I make a mistake 1 or 2 years, we are friends, you can manage that, okay? That is when the Crimean War took place. And Russia fought that war courageously. Courageously, yes, courageously, but Russia lost the war in the end. And when they won the war, what they did was to demilitarize Crimea. That Crimea could still remain Russian under Russian sovereignty, but you could not maintain a military base, naval base in Crimea. That is why they fought the war. But within a matter of 7 or 9 years, Russia was able to reverse that and restore a naval base in Crimea. And Russia continued to have that naval base in Crimea until something happened in 1917. They struck Russia and they plunged a dagger into the heart of Russia in 1917 with the Bolshevik Revolution. And then came the effort to destroy the spiritual heart of Russia, to destroy the Orthodox Christian faith, and to transform Russia into an atheist country, similar to what Britain is today, an atheist country. Nobody goes to church anymore. So you sell the church to whom? To McDonald's hamburgers, of course. Who else? Yesterday, you worship the Lord God in this building. Today you're eating McDonald's hamburgers in it. That's what you are today. And then they brought the Soviet Union into being as an atheist state, and a reign of terror was unleashed to destroy the religious foundations of Russian society. In 1954, 6 years after Israel was born, the Russian leader Nikita Khrushchev secretly planned something to stab Russia one more time. He announced that Crimea was going to be handed over to Ukraine. Already? Do you have the authority to hand over Russian territory to Ukraine? Will the United Nations accept such a nonsense? Huh? Will the so-called international community, which includes Malaysia, will they accept that you could just hand over a people's territory to another people, one man? Huh? But that's what they did. And all the sheep in the world accepted it up to this miserable day. So Crimea became Ukrainian territory. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, they caused it to collapse, and Ukraine became an independent state. Then Russia had to have an agreement with Ukraine to allow Russia to maintain a naval base in Crimea with certain limitations on the number of troops you can keep and so on. And the plan was for Ukraine to eventually become a member of NATO and then kick Russia out. And when that happens, then Russia will no longer be a superpower. Finish. That's the end of the story. They planned, and Allah planned His plan, and Allah's plan was the best. When they struck and they overthrew the government of Ukraine with their color revolution, and Ukraine's government is now poised to kick Russia out, what happened? Russia then turned to the people of Crimea and they voted, we want to be with Russia. The Crimean parliament voted to be with Russia. And Russia accepted it. And Crimea returned to Russia. That happened, what, about 2 years ago? 2 years ago? That was the most significant defeat that the Zionist movement had ever experienced from the day it was born, when Crimea returned to Russia. And when Crimea returned to Russia, if you would remember, I said, it's time for Imran Hosein to celebrate. Because I was looking at the subject from eschatology. And so what we are now about to witness is a Russia who commands power in the Crimea, in the Black Sea, because of control over Crimea. So when the war begins, what's going to happen? Remember, the first of them passed long, long ago. And most of them have already passed Gog and Magog. So now they are weak in the north and they're strong in the south. The power base is in the south now, in and around the Holy Land. So when the war takes place, what we'll see is a repeat of history. History will repeat itself one more time, that they are going to be checkmated by Russia in the north. In consequence of being checkmated by Russia in the north, that is why the conquest of Constantinople will become possible. When the conquest of Constantinople takes place, the backbone of NATO will be broken. But I don't think the conquest of Constantinople is possible without civil war in Turkey. And they just laid the foundations for that civil war with their bogus coup d'etat. That was, I think, 2 months ago or a month and a half ago. A bogus coup d'etat that even a schoolboy could see it already planned in advance, not to fail. Okay? Even a schoolboy could see that. You think the Russians can't see that? Even a schoolboy could see it. You think the Russians can't see that? That it was planned to fail. It was planned so that the Turkish president could be able to wipe out all the opposition that he had. Opposition, for example, to waging war on Syria. Many in the Turkish armed forces were opposed to Turkey waging war on Syria. Okay? Now they have been wiped out. They're no longer there. It's only a matter of time now before Turkey will attack Syria. Once Turkey attacks Syria, Russia is going to respond with full force. Oh yes. And when will Turkey attack Syria? I don't know. Don't ask me, don't send me any emails, I don't know. I don't know. But it looks as though it's going to be soon. It looks as though it's going to be soon. When that attack on Syria takes place by the Turkish armed forces, which I've been anticipating for 2 or 3 years now, and then Russia responds with full force on Turkey, we are laying the foundations for the conquest of Konstantinopel. The word of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam must come true. Must come true. Once the conquest of Constantinople takes place, then we know what's going to happen after that. The khuruj of Dajjal. In between the two, in between the Malhama, or the Great War, and the khuruj of Dajjal, meaning Dajjal, the false Messiah appearing in human form. Between these two events is part 3 of the drama, Pax Judaica. Pax Judaica. And in Pax Judaica we know already, if that, the first stage there was that monetary system with the British pound, and in this stage there was that monetary system with the US dollar, that in stage 3 you must have a new monetary system. I mean, it doesn't need much intelligence to know that. What will be the money system in the 3rd stage? We know already it's going to be invisible money, electronic money. I always wanted to know how you could have electronic money after a nuclear war, until somebody from Saudi Arabia came and told me, Sheikh, don't you have any sense? I have underground cables. The underground cables can survive the nuclear war, so the wireless internet will not be there. But you'll also have, you still have the internet through the underground cables, okay? So this is how the banking system will be able to survive, but I am getting the impression that they don't need the banking system anymore, they need only the central banks. But the world will be ruled by the central banks. So your little bank here and your little bank there and your little bank there, goodbye. Central banks take over. And they control the central banks of the world.